Jack was heading home after working late when he witnessed a murder by the elevator. The victim was his female boss. Terrified, Jack quickly hid behind a corner. After checking that no one was around, the killer began disposing of the body. Jack exhaled with relief only when the killer walked away. He rushed to hide in the bathroom, planning to wait until the coast was clear before going home. But when he pushed open the door, he found another corpse, the bald company manager, apparently another victim of the same killer. As Jack leaned in to check for signs of life, he accidentally triggered the automatic flush. Thankfully, the killer wasn't nearby. Jack quickly locked the door, then realized with dread that the killer would definitely return to deal with this body. Hiding here wasn't going to work. Sure enough, the killer entered the bathroom. He first cleaned blood off himself, then used the toilet. With nowhere to run, Jack had no choice but to squeeze through the narrow gap at the bottom of the stall into the adjacent one. As he crawled through, the killer entered the stall with the manager's body and took a set of keys from the corpse. Suddenly, Jack shifted position, triggering the automatic flush again. Fortunately, the sensor near the manager's body flushed simultaneously, and the killer didn't notice someone was in the next stall. As the killer's footsteps faded away, Jack hurried down the hallway toward the offices to call for help. Seeing another colleague still at work, Jack told him everything that had happened. Meanwhile, the killer was placing incendiary devices in the records room, apparently aiming to destroy important documents. While the killer was occupied, Jack tried to escape with his colleague, only to discover all exits had been sealed. Not only were the phones dead, but the company's network had also been cut off. Just then, footsteps approached from outside. The two terrified men quickly hid under a desk. The killer passed by without noticing them. Afterward, Jack's colleague ran to his desk and grabbed his phone to call the police. But in the next instant, the killer pressed a gun against his head, asking if anyone else was working late. Jack witnessed the entire scene from behind a window blind. The killer strangled his colleague with an electrical cord. Horrified, Jack ducked into a nearby cubicle, only to nearly wet himself at the sight of a woman's corpse. Fortunately, the killer was on the phone and didn't hear Jack's startled reaction. Then the killer began dragging the colleague's body toward the cubicle where Jack was hiding. Just then, a phone rang at another desk. The killer went to investigate and found Jack's phone. Now the killer realized there was still someone alive in the building. As Jack heard the killer calling out his name, he felt death closing in for the first time. While the killer searched elsewhere, Jack quickly made his way to the control room to reprogram the access cards. Just as the progress bar was about to complete, the killer pushed open the door. Jack hastily shut down the computer. After the killer left, Jack reset all the access cards. Now his was the only card that would work in the entire building. Seeing the killer's frustration, Jack also switched off the lights. Due to copyright restrictions, this is all we can show you of this film. It's called Not Safe for Work.